know you play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Get out there, play hard, enjoy those games.
Welcome to Go Big or Go Home. I am Old Man Troy, joined by the sneaky youngster Kevin Cunningham, a.k.a. Kid Cunny on Twitter. We are recording from the Inner Peak Coffee virtual studio today. How does that sound, youngster? We have
Very
a
good.
sponsor
Awesome.
for talking sports with the Youngster and Old Man. We have a sponsor for the brand. So that includes Go Big. It includes all the shows that we do. We have a virtual studio now because of Inner Peak Coffee, and we appreciate that. But I called you sneaky today because we're doing our little pregame, and you're like, yeah, we'll talk about this, we'll talk about that, and then you're like, I got a topic, I'm not going to tell you. You're being a little sneaky today, a little shyster you are. But how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Second day of my weekend, so it's nice. Been relaxing. But yeah, I'm very excited to have Inner Peak Coffee as our sponsor, our show sponsor for, again, like you said, all the shows that we do. You can find all the shows that we do when they go live over the internet somewhere or a local station, radio station, depending on where you live, obviously. But follow us on Twitter at Youngster Old Man. That's where you can find all of our shows. And again, go to innerpeakcoffee.com if you're a coffee drinker, or if you're not a coffee drinker and you're just curious as
like
to what
you.
Right, I'm not a coffee drinker. We have.
You can buy one of those nice travel mugs though. They got apparel. They got apparel goods. They even got stuff to make coffee. Like they have the crusher. I don't know if it's called the crusher. I'm sorry. I don't, because I usually don't, a grinder. I don't usually grind it. But all of a sudden now Inner Peak is our sponsor. I'm going to have to start buying coffee from Inner Peak. I'm usually a Maxwell House guy because I can't find. And here's the thing, and I know this is a sports show, but we have a new sponsor, so we've got to plug the sponsor, right?
Yeah.
So the reason, Kevin, my son won a grinder, a bean coffee grinder at his work Christmas party one year. So I got it. And I'm like, oh, I'll go to the store. This is cool. I can grind my own beans. Those things are expensive. Like even the generic beans are expensive. And as we've went through this process with Inner Peak, being on the website, they are so affordable. And here's even the best thing, youngster. I can sit on my couch. I can look at everything they have, order it. I don't even have to get off my couch to get it. It gets delivered to my house for free.
Right.
For free.
There
I
you
don't even have to go to Walmart and get it. So yeah, it's awesome. We're real excited about having Inner Peak as our. I'm going to call it the brand sponsor, youngster. They're sponsoring everything that we do across the board, like on a high level, which is awesome. But other than that, let's rock and roll. We got Go Big today. College sports. I was joking with you. There's no scandals. There's no stories. Like, by this time last year, I have to go back and listen to all the shows. We must have talked about 3 or 4 NCAA violations or scandals by this time last year, at least.
I believe there was Patino. I think that was last year. Could be wrong there, but I think there was Patino in there. There's always one Big Ten school going through something. Right now, Iowa kind of is, but not really. Sort of, kind of. But that's...
we've talked about it, youngster. We've talked about it on a couple of shows. Is it really a scandal?
No, I wouldn't say scandal. It
more deals with the things going on in the United States right now, with the Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, the culture and the program. And, yeah, it's being exacerbated by what's going on in the country for sure. No question about it. If my voice is sounding crackly or weird, it's not connection. I just have like a scratch in my throat. It's not like a sick thing. I just have gotten this over the last hour for some reason. So my apologies. But yeah,
it probably happened after you ate.
Maybe.
What did you eat today? We had to bring food into it. No, so here's the thing, youngster. We always joked about bringing food and beverage into our show, and now we got Interpeak Coffee as our sponsor. So we have a beverage as a sponsor.
Right. Now we're literally going to talk food, beverage every single show.
Yeah, it's like fate. It really is like fate. But what you have to eat, because you got fill the listeners in. I'm ready to do a show, and here's the youngster. Oh, I just ordered food.
Yeah, I did. Dinner for the wife, basically. She was craving this Italian place, and so
Don't blame the Mrs. Youngster on that.
No, I'm not blaming her at all. I just get I don't know why I couldn't think of the word for a second. I just get meatballs from this place, and the meatballs are extremely good. The sauce, just the marinara sauce that comes with the meatballs, is incredible. It's probably the best sauce I've ever had accompanying meatballs in my life. It's a local Florida place, so
cool.
Don't worry about it. But yeah, it's extremely good. She gets this chicken pasta thing that's also very good. But then I just heat up some noodles on my own, and after I'm done with the meatballs, there's extra sauce. I just throw the noodles right in the sauce. I had garlic bread as well.
Maybe that's why your throat's scratchy, because you ate before the show.
Maybe.
But let's move on. We've got a couple topics to get to.
Yes. So, again, we've talked about this Iowa thing for the last couple weeks, but a 9-page report came from the University of Iowa Athletics Diversity Task Force, kind of looking into things. They followed interviews back from 2018 with 50 current and former student athletes, coaches, staff members. This, again, just kind of has to deal with black players, essentially, at Iowa, football players not feeling equal, as important, just kind of left out, different, which, I mean, it's almost like a high school thing. Like, is it right to be a nerd in high school and be left out, be made fun of, be bullied? Of course not. Should it, ideally, does everything, should it be resolved perfectly and everything comes together in harmony? Absolutely. But, so it is what it is. But again, a report came from 2018. They were looking back into this for a while now. And Kirk Ferentz even admitted that, issues were brought to him a year ago about this kind of stuff. And so basically the report ended up concluding that black student athletes at Iowa felt they were expected to conform to white culture. I'm reading this. Targeted for extra drug testing, subjected to verbal harassment and inequitable discipline policies, misunderstood by coaches, white teammates, misled during the recruiting process about available resources. So you get the point. They're just not, it's not equal. So I could make a comment about this. I won't. I'll keep my mouth shut about it. But Hey,
youngster, you read a couple of excerpts from that article. Let the listeners know what article it is, because, again, you and I have followed this, but what you're saying in that article are pretty relevant. So why don't you let the listeners know what article it is and where they can find it?
It's on SiouxCityJournal.com. If you're not a grammar expert, you might not know how to spell Sioux. It's S-I-O-U-X, City Journal. I mean, really all I did was Google, what did I Google? Iowa Kirk Ferentz. And it's one of the top stories in there, the Sioux City Journal. If you click on any article involving Iowa Kirk Ferentz right now, if you Google any article, it's about the racial disparities, dating back for the last couple of years now. So yeah, there was an official report that came out, and it's like, yep, that this is what 50+ student athletes, current, former, have been saying, that the program is just not. It's not what it should be. And Kirk Ferentz said that he met with a committee last August and expected to do so during a bye week last season, or maybe 2 seasons ago, and then last season. And neither of those meetings took place, revolving around these issues that he knew existed. And he literally said a couple days ago, I dropped the ball on that. I felt we had a pretty healthy environment, pretty healthy culture last December. Felt good about things. I'm paraphrasing. When we left here on March 13th, I felt good about our positioning to start spring practice, and a lot of things in the world have changed since then. I don't know why he needed to add that because,
let's dive into this, youngster. I said
right
that I will stand in Ferentz's corner if he didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So with these things coming out, I'm now wavering. Now I'm on the fence. And part of that is because I was a former coach. Go ahead.
He's saying he knew. He literally said, I dropped the ball on that. He thought things were getting better. Obviously, they weren't. So I don't know if that's him turning a blind eye to it. I don't know if that's him literally being not as involved in the program and not knowing what's going on around his program as much as he should.
So now you're going to get me worked up, Young. You are going to get me worked up when you say he doesn't know what's going on in the program. I have brought this up a million times. If you're a head coach and you don't know what the F is going on in your program, get out. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're a football coach. And, I got 100 players. I got to keep track of 100 players. I don't care. You are the head coach. And I told you this time, you're probably sick of hearing my stories, youngster, of me knowing exactly what was going on in my program. Because I'm accountable for it. I have to know. It's not because I am this control freak that needs to know, is Adam in his class at 11:50? No, I am responsible for every single one of my student athletes. And when something goes wrong, I'm the one that has to answer for it. So 2 weeks ago, I said, hey, I'm on Ferentz's side. If he didn't know what was going on, I'm going to support him.
Right. Yeah.
He said he dropped the ball. How do you drop the ball on something like that?
Right.
What did you drop the ball on? What that says, youngster, is that I'm not going to go down the road of racism. I'm not going down that road. What I'm going to go down the road of is incompetence. Because any of you out there listening, think of your job. Your boss talks to you, the one that writes your paycheck, and says, we've got a problem. If you're a manager, I got a problem in your department. Okay, we'll work on it. We'll get it fixed. It's usually called, like a written warning. It's usually called coaching or counseling. And you then have a strategic plan to improve. It's called a performance improvement plan. A lot of companies that worked at, we called it a PIP. You're too young to probably know what that means, youngster. That's an acronym for old people. It's called a PIP, Performance Improvement Plan. And if Ferentz knew about this, and we're supposed to have a meeting, and you're saying the meeting didn't happen, now, youngster, you've really got me going down the road because, the meetings didn't happen. You know what, Iowa? Now I'm putting you on blast. Because if it is something that deals with racism, with indiscretions, and you can't have the meeting, now it looks like Ferentz doesn't care. Now it looks like Iowa doesn't care.
Right. That's how it comes off. You just cancel a
meeting about a report of inequalities? Now, that is wrong. So, yeah, you know what? I'm not on Ferentz's side right now, youngster.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I hear you.
How do you drop the ball?
Right. That's how it comes off, is that he just didn't care enough to follow through with it. He heard about it, and he didn't follow through with it because he felt pretty good about things, quote unquote.
Yeah, you just got me worked up, and I thought this was going to be a short show. I could probably talk now for 2 more hours. Because I didn't know all the details. I knew I read a little bit about it today.
Yeah.
And I was just shaking my head. But, again, I'm at work, and I was actually working with our sponsor, Interpeak, all day. I enjoyed it. But I'm going to relate this, again, and I love relating things to the listening public that we have out there. I want people to think, you're at work in your, and I air quote, normal job that all of us have that are out here. We're not athletes. We're not professional coaches, college coaches. At your work, when there is something like this that happens and you know about it, and all of a sudden your manager takes no action to do anything about it, how would you feel as an employee? Now, some people might be on the side because they don't care either. But you are now, Kevin, right now, with Ferentz saying I've dropped the ball, a lot of times people are like, oh, he took responsibility for it. No, he's taken responsibility for it after the transfer portal happened, and this became a national issue. He didn't come out a year ago and say he dropped the ball.
Right.
He let it go on.
Yep.
I am not in this corner anymore. If I'm Iowa and I hear that, yeah, he took responsibility for dropping the ball because he doesn't care. He needs to come out, youngster, with another statement to save his job in my mind. Otherwise, the whole Big Ten football season, and I hope we have one, I will be on his you-know-what because I can't deal with people that just turn their head, say I did something about it. Oh, I thought it was good. I want documentation that it was good, Ferentz. I want it because I've been a manager. I've been a college coach. I want the documentation. Did you talk to him? Did you punish him? Did you give him a performance improvement plan? I guarantee he didn't. When he says I dropped the ball, it's because he doesn't care. I am way off, and Iowa fans, you can hate me all you want. Ferentz needs to go. Now.
There you go.
I'm done. I'm done.
I'll read you what the AD said after this. Kickstart your day with a cup of small batch, handcrafted coffee to help you get out there and find your peak. Visit InnerPeakCoffee.com and order today. Again, thank you, Inner Peak Coffee. AD Gary Barta said, I had convinced myself that I had convinced myself that we were doing enough. And frankly, the past few weeks have been a wake-up call for me and others in the department. The things I've heard.
What were they doing?
I don't know. Since early June, the things I've heard, clearly what we've done wasn't enough, and things weren't happening fast enough.
Okay, youngster, because you're chuckling over there, so you're on. I don't want to say you're on my side. I don't want to put words in your mouth. You're chuckling over there. I want to go back. This diversity committee that you talked about, how many athletes was it that they interviewed to get to the results?
50 plus, I believe.
50
Let me make
plus.
Sure. 50 current.
Plus. Do you think you were doing enough? I need some evidence that they were doing something. I'm sorry. And this, I want to preface this, even if Black Lives Matter, if this all hadn't happened, I would still be on the same place I'm at now. Because you turned your head. I cannot understand when you have problems that you brush them under the rug.
Right.
We thought we were in a good place, and here's the thing. The AD probably said he thought he was in a good place because guess what? Long-tenured Kirk Ferentz, who wins 10 games every 4 years, went to him and said, I'm Kirk Ferentz. I am the face of Iowa. We have it under control.
Right.
And that AD trusted
I don't blame
and
Barta
AD trusted
at all. Right. I don't blame Barta here. Because again, he's going to go to the coach, and if the coach tells him everything's under control, I've got a couple of meetings set up, Okay, you do you. This is your program. So
now I got a scratchy throat, youngster. Thanks for keeping me worked up.
My apologies. Unless you got more on this, Troy, I could continue to babble for literally 2 more hours on this because it irks me. Yeah. I mean, I could give you situation. Because, again, I'm a lot older than you. I've been through, and not necessarily this exact situation, but I've been in the workplace a lot longer than you. And situations like comments coming from the athletic director. I mean, I'm not saying the athletic director should be fired, but it happens. When you're a manager and you have somebody that's been there a while and they tell you something, you think it's going to get done. And you trust that it's going to get done. Right.
And that's what I think happened here. And I think Ferentz told the AD so he didn't have to go through the hoopla of doing performance improvement plans and studies and internal investigations. I'll take care of it is probably what he said. I'll take care of it. Everything will be fine.
Right.
And then, of course, nobody reported anything to the AD. Nobody came to the athletic department. Nobody went to the diversity committee. Nobody went to the school. So the AD is thinking, you know what? Good old Kirk, our guy, took care of it. Guess what, Kirk? You got to go. Okay, move on.
Yeah, not much more to add necessarily in terms of factual information. But I basically, in short, I was chuckling earlier because it's just ridiculous. So I'll leave it at that. I'm with you that this is this is not a good look at all. And I'm curious.
And it went, Youngster, from 3 weeks ago to something we thought was just a blip on the radar to this.
Right. Like, oh, hey, the strength and conditioning coach treated me poorly. Oh, yeah, a few other players thought so too. Okay, he's fired. Boom, done. Well, no, actually, based on interviews with 50 current and former student athletes dating back to 2018, a 9-page report had to come from it.
So let me ask you this, Youngster, because I know sometimes that you're not as, I guess, vibrant as me on the show. Like, I really get worked up and my voice fluctuates and I really get like steaming red ear hot.
Right.
Does Kirk Ferentz need to be fired?
I would say, yeah. Especially something with anything involving 50-plus people having to be interviewed about this and multiple reports about, things coming out and you saying it. Essentially what we talked about probably 10, 15 minutes ago now was once he realized that, okay, he's heard all this, he knows about it, he's going to do something about it. He even has a few meetings scheduled in his mind about it, and then nothing ever comes from it. And then a couple years later, stuff starts popping out, and coaches have to get fired because of it. And so, this is not, I shouldn't say the most, this is something that he thought he could brush under the rug, and a few players would come and go, leave the program, feel a little uncomfortable. Okay, you graduate, see you later. It is what it is. We'll welcome the next batch of players. And personnel.
And you know what, Youngster, I'll interject there, and you can finish, because, again, being a college coach.
Yeah.
You can sometimes... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, just in short, you can't brush things under the rug like that and just assume things will change because a couple people leave. And if there is an in-house culture problem, especially race-based, then it's not two black students thinking that, they're being picked on because they're black. They're not being treated equally as white people because they're black. Okay, those two people are, graduating, move on. Okay, it is what it is.
And I was just going to throw in there that can happen. You can get like a little, and that's why we thought maybe this is a blip on the radar. And I want to bring up coaching again. My prior coaching experience in college. You recruit guys. I had a guy that came in and said, "Coach, I'm uncomfortable here." And it's like, well, is it the way we're treating you? Blah blah blah. It's like, no, I'm having problems. This is a guy that didn't fit in on campus. One of my recruits, and he never played a minute of a game for me. He dropped out before he even played. And sometimes that happens. But you have to remember, at that time I was a Division III coach. My guys were not playing in the MLS. They're not playing in the Premier League. They're never going to see the pitch for the Champions League game. They just love the game, right? This guy felt uncomfortable on campus. So you can, and that's what I wanted to say, is that you could have that one guy or that guy, and he could have stayed and made it miserable for himself. But we've talked about viruses, and nothing against COVID, but viruses in the locker room. This guy could have swayed 3-4 people on his side, like, yeah, this place sucks. This place sucks. This place doesn't care about people. Do you see what I'm saying there, youngster?
Yeah.
He could have stayed and done that. And that happens. And then it would have been like, okay, well, then as a coach, I got to get to the bottom of the problem. But this is something where you're talking about 50-plus alumni, students, blah, blah, blah. And what really gets me is this meeting thing. You've got an internal report that says there's a problem. Oh, but I didn't meet with them? I'm sorry, Kirk Ferentz, you are not a god. And I don't usually say that much. But right now, my opinion of Kirk Ferentz is pretty low. That's all I got to say. Let's move on.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Very quickly before we get to my little secret topic, which you may have heard of, Troy. The Pac-12 players are threatening to boycott if certain demands aren't met for the 2020 season. Part of it is with COVID testing. The initial idea was to create players union. We saw
a players union in college. Can you imagine a players union in college?
That's what Northwestern wanted to do like 10 years ago. And nothing serious really came from it.
I would probably have to drink a 6-pack of beer before we started talking if there was a players union, just to calm me down.
Things they're asking for 50-50 revenue share, 6 years insurance upon graduation, better COVID testing. There's other things, but yeah, I'll leave it at that. It's just Pac-12 players thinking of, potentially boycotting if things don't go their way. We'll see if anything actually comes of that. But right now it's just...
We really could have turned this into like a 3 or 4 hour morning show. Hint to people out there. Because when you're talking about college students and unions, think about, hey, I know you're in your mid-20s, youngster, but did you ever work for a company that had a union or part union?
29 years old now.
Mid-20s.
29.
I should know it. You're exactly 20 years younger than me. We graduated 20 years apart from the great University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Bingo! Got it in another show. I always find a way to get our school in the show. Always.
Yes, I'm 29. No, and not to my knowledge. There has never been a union that, no. Not to my knowledge.
So, I mean, the union is there to protect the weakest people. It's really what it is. That's what the union is for. You got guys that are going to come in and do their job. They don't care that they're in the union or not. There are guys that they are going to look at the union rules, and they are going to do the bare minimum so they don't get in trouble. And the bare minimum from the union comparative to what should be the job expectations are usually different. I work at Pepsi right now, youngster. Some plants in the United States are still unionized, some are not. When I worked in PA, our drivers had a union. Where I'm at now, no union. And I will tell you this, and I'm not saying they're bad people, but the drivers that were in the union, they did the bare minimum so that they could just do what they needed to do and move on. A players' union in college would ruin college football. Would ruin it. Because you would have all kinds of lawsuits. I'm not playing. I didn't get this. I didn't get that. Blah, blah, blah. Union guys, I used the word shyster with you in the beginning because you got a secret topic. Union guys to me are shyster. Because they have the minimum bar of what the union guys, these are the expectations, and if my guy does this, you can't touch him. I think it's a bunch of BS. Okay, move on.
I will move on. So, secret topic here. Did you hear about Lambeau Field, Troy, Big Ten?
Lambeau Field, Big Ten. Notre Dame and Wisconsin aren't playing. I haven't looked at anything else.
The Packers are reportedly preparing a pitch to have Lambeau Field. I believe this is throughout 2023 to 2030. They're trying to make a pitch to move the Big Ten championship game to Lambeau Field. So with that, I'm just curious your thoughts on that.
Silly. Don't like it. It's Green Bay, Wisconsin. It's Green Bay, Wisconsin. It's a great venue. I live in Green Bay now. It's a great venue. But to be honest, I like the venue in Indianapolis because it's indoors and the weather. That's why I say it's silly.
That's the key to me. Like, Lambeau Field, awesome, great, cool, fantastic. Who wouldn't want to play there? But it's the Big Ten Championship at Lambeau Field in December. It could be 2 degrees with a blizzard.
It could be 2. Yeah, you're right. It could be 2 degrees with a foot of snow. Or it could be. Yeah, so let's look at this. Let's just go temperature-wise, youngster. What is going to be the highest record-breaking temperature in December? Again, when I do the show, I don't have a computer in front of me. But if I looked up record-breaking temperatures in December in Green Bay, 25 degrees is probably going to be a record.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want a Big Ten championship game played in those conditions. No way. No way. I love the Packers. I love Lambeau Field. No way, Jose. Not happening.
Yeah. Yeah, weather's the big thing to me. And I know some people are like, well, it's the Big Ten. You're rough through it. That's the climate. That's the culture. That's the way the Big Ten is built. That's Big Ten football. And to me, it's just, it's stupid. Like, just because you're in Florida doesn't mean you should play the NBA, the rest of the regular season, and the playoffs outdoors on outdoor courts. Like, no, it could rain. There could be thunderstorms. There could be issues. The court could be wetter than it needs to be because there was rain 2 hours ago and you had to squeegee the court. And just, if you can put it indoors, why would you not? Right?
I think what the Big Ten has been doing, youngster, is perfectly fine. And I'm I'm a huge Badger fan, right? I'm a huge Badger fan. I'm a Wisconsin guy inside and out, right? You take the years that Wisconsin played Ohio State, and you put those games at Lambeau Field on a frozen turf, right?
Right. Neutralize some of Ohio State's speed, and you get it at Lambeau Field right in Wisconsin. I mean, that's perfect for the Badgers.
Well, and you're an Ohio State guy. For the new listeners, the youngster is an Ohio State fan. I am a Badger fan. And we look at the championship games, youngster. My point to this is Ohio State always has athletic quarterbacks, right? That can roll out, they can get out of the pocket, they can make plays with their legs, right?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers can do it at Green Bay because he's used to it and he knows what to do. Let's take Jones, for example. You put Jones in that situation on a slippery turf in the middle of December at Lambeau Field, do you think he can run for 400 yards? Or I know I'm being sarcastic, but Ohio State, with their athletic quarterbacks, would probably be at a disadvantage playing the Badgers in the championship game at Lambeau Field because the Badgers are in the trenches going to beat you at the offensive line. And in those championship games, youngster, I think the offensive line, I'm going to call it a tie. Even in the blowout, Ohio State had more talent at the skill positions. But in cold weather, on a frozen turf, skill position and the advantage becomes even because you can't have speed on a frozen turf. Right. You can get a little, but you're going to slip, you're going to slide. The Badgers always have a good offensive line. The Badgers would be like the favorite in my mind every year if they can get to the championship game playing on a frozen turf because their offensive line is good. And they always got good running backs.
Yeah. Yeah, it would certainly sway in their favor. But yeah, this makes no sense. I shouldn't say it makes no sense. it makes perfect sense outside of the weather factor. Then it doesn't make sense at all. Otherwise, great idea. Fantastic. It's like having hockey games outdoors. Can you do it twice a year? Sure. And make a spectacle out of it? Awesome. It's different. It's cool. It's fun. Sweet. Are you going to have the Stanley Cup best-of-7 series outdoors? Probably not. It's just not ideal. So, it's as simple as that to me. I want to give a shout-out. That was our last topic of the day. Again, a shout-out to Inner Peak Coffee. You can check out their site, innerpeakcoffee.com. They are our official sponsor for the show, as we do the show via the Inner Peak Coffee virtual studio. Now, every single day of the week that we do shows, which is more often than not, thank you again to Inner Peak Coffee. Just wanted to throw them a little kudos. Without reading on, every sponsor has its little read-offs, Troy.
We got our list, don't we, youngsters?
Right.
We've got our list. I told you, I worked with Inner Peak all day. Today is actually the first day for people listening in. On today, recording this show, Go Big or Go Home, is the first official show that Inner Peak has sponsored because the details were all knocked out. And so we spent most of the day getting, look at this. We got this. Read this. Do this. Bottom line, Inner Peak Coffee. I'm a coffee drinker. Go check it out. InnerPeakCoffee.com. Free shipping on gourmet coffee. If you're not a coffee drinker like the youngster, you can get hoodies, T-shirts, coffee mugs. If you're a camper, you can get portable outdoor coffee maker. It's unbelievable. Go check it out. Inner Peak Coffee.
You can even get a flavored coffee sample pack. So if you're me and you traditionally don't like coffee, you can get a sample pack, and you can try a bunch of different ones. And if they all suck, they all suck. So be it. But there might be one that you find that you like, and there you go. You found coffee you like. So,
how about the Mrs. Youngster? Does she like coffee? Does she like coffee?
Mostly iced coffee. That's her go-to. I would say 98% of the time it's iced coffee for her.
All right. Well, bring her to InnerPeak.com because they have a video on how to make home-brewed iced coffee.
There you go. Perfect.
You probably didn't see that. I actually divulged into this website. It's on there.
I did not.
Now, my wife, Youngster, on the other hand, I call her a foo-foo coffee drinker. And Shane, who is the owner, he actually commented on LinkedIn, so I got to tell people, this is how it all started. And I know we've been doing this show for a while. This is kind of a fun show. I put the poll out because we had nothing sports related. I'm like, I want to pull out a coffee poll. Everybody likes coffee. This is how I've got in touch with Shane from Inner Peak Coffee. This is what happened. I put a poll out about coffee. He commented, Inner Peak Coffee commented. And he's like, I always make the joke, do you want some coffee with your cream? That's what I say to my wife. Because I have to fill the cup halfway up. And I'm talking about like one of the travel mugs that you can find on InnerPeakCoffee.com. Like only halfway, Youngster, with coffee. Then I'll have to put like 3 tablespoons of sugar in it and then fill the rest up with creamer. It's like you're not even drinking coffee. You are drinking sugar milk at that point. But there's a lot of great things. I love it. I love the site. I love the fact that we're going to be having Inner Peak Coffee as our sponsor. What else you got, Youngster? We're done. We thought this was going to be like a 30-minute show. We went an hour.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we went into the topics a little further than I thought we would, but we certainly could have went even further as well.
Well, that's because you got me all worked up.
I did, as I do every single show. But
which is normal.
What we do. Yep, it's what we do.
All right, for the Youngster, I am the old man. We're recording from the Inner Peak Coffee virtual studio. Hope you enjoyed the show today, everybody. We'll get back at you next week. Same place, same time. Be great. Keep smiling. We'll talk to you soon.